Have you ever heard of a symphony played by the wind itself? Deep in the heart of the Winterglow Forest lies the enchanted Snowy Symphony, where the wind, snowflakes, and animals create a magical melody that brings warmth to even the coldest nights. Join Max, a curious young boy, and his friend Frost, a playful talking Arctic fox, as they set off on an adventure to save the Snowy Symphony from an everlasting silence. This enchanting bedtime story is filled with sparkling snow, whimsical creatures, and a valuable lesson about bravery, teamwork, and the beauty of nature. Get ready for a heartwarming adventure that will leave you dreaming of magical winter nights. Max loved winter more than any other time of the year. There was something about the snow-covered trees, the crisp air, and the twinkling lights that filled him with joy. One evening, his grandmother told him a story that captured his imagination, a story about the Snowy Symphony, a magical concert deep within the Winterglow Forest, where the wind, snow, and animals played music so beautiful it could warm even the coldest of hearts. But something was wrong. His grandmother said that this year the Snowy Symphony might not happen. The magical instruments had gone silent, and without their music, the magic of winter would begin to fade. Max couldn't bear the thought of winter without its magic. He decided he had to help. He packed his scarf, mittens, and a small lantern and set off into the Winterglow Forest. By his side was Frost, an Arctic fox with bright eyes and a playful spirit. Frost's fur sparkled like freshly fallen snow, and he could always make Max smile, even in the darkest moments. "Are you ready, Max?" Frost asked, his tail swishing excitedly. "The Snowy Symphony won't save itself, you know." Max nodded, determination in his eyes. "I'm ready, Frost. Let's save winter." They ventured deeper into the Winterglow Forest, the snow crunching softly beneath their feet. The moonlight lit their path, and the trees seemed to whisper as they passed by, their branches covered in glistening snow. Frost led the way, his nose twitching as he sniffed the cold air, searching for the source of the silence. After a while, they came upon a clearing where the snow seemed to glow with a soft blue light. In the center stood an enormous ice sculpture, a harp made entirely of ice, its strings shimmering under the moonlight. But something was wrong. The strings were frozen solid, and no sound came from the harp. Frost's ears drooped. "The wind harp! It's frozen! Without it, the Snowy Symphony can't begin." Max approached the harp, his breath visible in the cold air. He placed his hand on the icy strings, feeling the chill. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "We need warmth," he said softly. "The warmth that comes from caring and hope." Max knelt in the snow, cupping his hands around the frozen strings. He closed his eyes and thought of all the things that made winter magical. His grandmother's stories, the laughter of his friends as they played in the snow, the feeling of warmth when he sat by the fire with his family. Slowly, a warmth began to spread through his hands, and the ice on the harp began to melt. The strings started to glow, and a soft, melodic sound filled the clearing. Frost's eyes sparkled with joy. "You did it, Max! The harp is playing again!" The melody of the wind harp echoed through the forest, and the magic began to return. Snowflakes danced in the air, swirling around Max and Frost, creating a beautiful display of light and color. The trees seemed to sway with the music, and soon other instruments joined in. The tinkling of icicles, the rustle of the wind through the branches, and even the soft howls of wolves in the distance. Max and Frost continued their journey through the forest, following the music. They found other magical instruments, an ice flute guarded by a family of owls, a set of crystal chimes hidden beneath a snowdrift, and a silver drum that required the laughter of a child to be heard. Each time, Max used his courage, warmth, and the power of friendship to bring the instruments back to life. As they travelled deeper into the Winterglow Forest, the challenges grew harder. They reached the frosted falls, where the water had frozen mid-flow, and a shimmering ice bridge was the only way across. Frost sniffed the air nervously, and Max could see why. Below them was a deep chasm, and the ice bridge looked fragile. But Max knew they couldn't turn back now. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge, his heart pounding. With Frost close behind, they carefully made their way across, each step feeling like a test of their courage. Halfway across, the wind picked up and the bridge began to tremble. Max felt fear creeping in, but then he heard Frost's reassuring voice. "One step at a time, Max. We can do this." Max nodded, focusing on each step until finally they reached the other side. The moment they stepped off the bridge, it glowed brightly and solidified, as if rewarding their bravery. Their journey continued until they reached the crystal cavern where the echoing bells, another magical instrument, were hidden. The cavern was filled with towering ice crystals that reflected their lantern light in a dazzling array of colors. But as they entered, the crystals began to emit a low hum, and a voice echoed around them. "Only those who can find harmony within themselves may pass." Max and Frost looked at each other, puzzled. Max closed his eyes and listened to the hum. It was dissonant, as if something was out of tune. He realized that the crystals were responding to the energy around them. He knelt down and took Frost's paw, smiling at him. "Let's find our harmony, Frost." Together, they focused on their breathing, calming their hearts and minds. Slowly, the dissonant hum began to shift, transforming into a harmonious melody that resonated through the cavern. The echoing bells, hidden among the crystals, began to ring softly, their chimes filling the air. The path through the cavern opened, and Max knew they had passed another test. Finally, they reached the heart of the Winterglow Forest, where a grand stage made of ice and snow awaited. The Snowy Symphony was about to begin, but one final instrument was missing. The conductor's baton, a small glowing staff that would bring all the music together. Frost looked at Max, his eyes filled with hope. "The baton is hidden in the heart of the forest, but only someone who truly believes in the magic of winter can find it." Max took a deep breath, his heart pounding. He thought of everything they had done, all the instruments they had restored, the magic they had brought back, and the joy of winter that filled his heart. He closed his eyes and whispered, "I believe in the magic of winter." Suddenly, the snow beneath his feet began to glow, and a small glowing staff rose from the ground. Max reached out and took it in his hands, feeling the warmth and power of the Snowy Symphony flow through him. The forest came alive with music, the instruments playing in perfect harmony. The snowflakes danced, the animals gathered, and the entire Winterglow Forest seemed to sparkle with magic. Max stood on the stage, the baton in his hand, conducting the most beautiful symphony he had ever heard. Frost danced beside him, his fur glowing with joy. "You did it, Max! The Snowy Symphony is saved!" Max smiled, his heart full. He knew that the true magic of winter wasn't just in the snow or the cold. It was in the warmth of friendship, the courage to face challenges, and the belief that even in the coldest times, there was always light. With the music filling the air, Max and Frost made their way back home, the glow of the Snowy Symphony lighting their path. When they returned, Max's grandmother was waiting by the window, her eyes shining with tears of joy as she heard the beautiful music echoing through the forest. "Grandma," Max said, his voice filled with emotion, "the Snowy Symphony is back. Winter is saved." His grandmother hugged him tightly, her heart full of pride. "Oh, Max," she whispered, "you've brought back more than just the music. You've brought back the magic of winter." That night, as Max lay in bed, Frost curled up at his feet. He looked out the window at the snowflakes twinkling in the moonlight. He knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, the warmth of friendship and the magic of winter would always guide him. And with that comforting thought, Max drifted off to sleep, his dreams filled with the melody of the Snowy Symphony. If you loved Max and Frost's magical journey to save the Snowy Symphony, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another enchanting bedtime story. Let us know in the comments, what's your favorite part of winter? We'd love to hear your thoughts.